That night, Elena realized that sometimes a single line on a computer screen can change an entire life. She sat in the dimly lit room, staring at the monitor and reading the message again and again. There was at least one error while upgrading the database schema. Please report the following error. To an ordinary programmer, it was nothing more than a technical problem. To Elena, it would become the final warning before a truth buried for 7 years came crashing into her life. Outside the window, the city lights shimmered against the dark sky. Beside her stood Alex, the man she loved and the person she believed would help her build a new future. Just minutes earlier, they had been planning their lives together. Now everything seemed to depend on one old system, one forgotten file, and a secret someone had spent years trying to hide. If you love emotional stories about second chances, unexpected twists, and people who find the strength to start again, please support Bright Acts. Like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. You never know when a story about a second chance might reach someone who desperately needs hope. Elena worked as a systems architect at a powerful technology company. She was the kind of person who searched for causes when everyone else was focused only on consequences. Her life appeared perfect from the outside. She had a respected career, a beautiful apartment, and Alex, the man who made her feel that she had finally found a place where she belonged. But beneath that calm life was an old wound she rarely spoke about. 7 years earlier, Elena's father had died in a mysterious car accident. He had left behind debts, unfinished work, and an old computer that Elena never understood. For years, she had been angry with him. She believed he had made poor decisions and left the family to deal with the consequences. After his death, she packed his old computer into a storage room and tried to forget everything connected to him. That evening, Elena was responsible for the final testing of a massive database upgrade. She knew the system better than almost anyone in the company, so she expected everything to work perfectly. Instead, the same error appeared again. She tried restarting the process. Nothing changed. She checked the backup files, system logs, and previous versions. Still nothing. Then she noticed something strange. The error was pointing toward a piece of old code that, according to company records, had been deleted years ago. A cold feeling moved through her. She began searching through the archives and suddenly saw a familiar name among the original developers of the system. Her father's name. At first, Elena convinced herself it had to be a coincidence. But then she found a hidden file created on the exact date of her father's death. Inside was a single sentence. If the system ever asks you to report an error, do not delete it. Find me first. Elena stared at the screen, unable to breathe for several seconds. She had no idea what her father had meant. Alex saw the fear on her face and came closer. Elena told him everything. Together, they decided to search for the old computer in her storage room. They found it buried beneath boxes and covered in dust. After 7 years, Elena turned it on. The screen flickered. A folder appeared. Its name was simple: Second Chance. Inside were photographs, documents, encrypted files, and personal notes. Elena opened the first photograph and saw her father standing beside several engineers. He looked younger, confident, and strangely serious. Then she opened a document that changed everything. Her father had discovered that several executives within the company were secretly planning to use the database to hide financial transactions and erase evidence of illegal transfers. He had refused to participate. Instead, he had copied the evidence and created a hidden backup. But before he could expose the truth, he died. Elena felt tears running down her face. For 7 years, she had believed her father was a failure. She had blamed him for the debts, for the pain, and for the difficult life she had been forced to build after his death. Now she discovered that he had been trying to protect people. But there was something even more shocking inside the files. One of the names connected to the secret operation belonged to the company's current executive director, the same man who had publicly described Elena's father years earlier as an unreliable employee. Suddenly, everything made sense. The old database had not failed by accident. The hidden code was preventing the upgrade from destroying the evidence. The error message was not a problem. It was a warning. But Elena now faced an impossible choice. If she exposed the documents, the company could collapse. Hundreds of employees could lose their jobs. Her own career could be destroyed. She could even face legal consequences for accessing information she was not supposed to see. If she stayed silent, her father's truth would disappear forever. Alex never told her what decision to make. He simply stayed beside her. That was enough. For the first time, Elena understood what real support meant. It was not someone making your decisions for you. It was someone standing beside you while you found the courage to make them yourself. The next morning, Elena reported everything to senior management. She expected questions. Instead, she was accused of sabotage. Her access card was disabled. Her accounts were frozen. She was accused of stealing confidential information and deliberately interfering with the database upgrade. People who had been smiling at her only one day earlier suddenly avoided looking at her. Rumors spread across the company. Some claimed Elena was trying to take revenge because of personal problems. Others said she wanted money. Nobody wanted to hear the truth. That night, Elena returned home completely broken. For the first time in years, she felt as if she had lost everything. Her career, her reputation, her security, her future. She sat in front of the old computer and looked at the error message again. Then something inside her changed. She finally understood. The error was never her enemy. It was the last remaining trace of the truth. Elena decided to send copies of the documents to independent cybersecurity experts and investigative journalists. Within days, an investigation began. The evidence confirmed that her father had indeed tried to expose illegal financial activity within the company. The old code had been deliberately designed to preserve certain records during database updates. The failed upgrade had protected the evidence from being erased. The error had saved the truth. The story quickly became public. The executives involved were investigated, and the company was forced to undergo major changes. But most importantly, Elena's father's name was finally cleared. For the first time in 7 years, people stopped calling him a failure. They called him brave. Elena was offered her old position back. She refused. She had learned something important. She no longer wanted to build her future inside a place where truth was treated as a threat. Months later, Elena and Alex opened a small technology studio together. They focused on cybersecurity and helped young professionals who were just beginning their careers. On the wall of Elena's office hung a photograph of her father. Beside it was a printed copy of the error message that had changed her life. She no longer saw it as a symbol of failure. She saw it as a reminder. Sometimes life stops us at the worst possible moment because we are finally being forced to see something we have ignored for too long. A year passed. One evening, Elena sat beside the window, watching the city lights sparkle in the distance. Alex sat beside her. Their life was not perfect. They still had difficult days. They still worried about money sometimes. They still faced uncertainty. But they had something more valuable than perfection. They had a second chance. Elena often thought about that night. If the database upgrade had worked perfectly, the hidden files might have disappeared forever. Her father's truth would have been erased. His name might have remained stained by a lie. But the system had failed. And because it failed, the truth survived. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to support Bright Acts. Like the video, share it with someone who may be going through a difficult time, and subscribe to the channel. Sometimes a few seconds of kindness and encouragement can give someone the strength to keep going. And before the story ends, I have one special request for you. Write "second chance" in the comments. Let those 2 words be a small message of hope for anyone watching this who feels that they have made too many mistakes or lost too much to begin again. Because Elena learned something that night that she would never forget. Sometimes life gives us an error message. We lose a job. We lose a relationship. We lose money. We lose someone we love. We lose the confidence we once had. And we think everything is broken. But perhaps not every error is the end. Sometimes an error is a warning. Sometimes it forces us to stop. Sometimes it makes us look deeper. And sometimes, hidden inside the thing we believe has ruined our lives, there is a truth waiting to set us free. Elena had spent 7 years believing her father's final chapter was a tragedy. In the end, she discovered it was only the beginning of another chapter. Because sometimes the greatest second chances arrive disguised as the worst mistakes. And sometimes, the moment everything appears to be falling apart is the exact moment your real life is finally beginning.